Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of this three-part podcast. And the first part was shared by Katlego Moagi on her YouTube channel, Citizen Concerned. Please check the link down below. The third part of this podcast will be on June Hlongwane's YouTube channel, and the link will be in the description. Please hit the sub button, hit the like button, open those notifications so that you are notified every time that we upload a new video. Please enjoy, watch till the end, and join June Hlongwane for the third part of this video.
What do I say about that? Which is I love the way you put it, because if anything, the way that I still look at it, it's still a whole thing of a cooperation between, or a collaboration between, the government and the people. So if you are telling me that you're able as a government, so me as the government and you as the company itself, if you're telling me that you want to hire 300 people, all right, and you're telling me that the minimum wage is, let's just say 20 rand, and then you're telling me you can only afford to pay them 12 rand, then as a government, I can see your whole initiative is what you're trying to do. If anything, there should be, I'm glad that there are these subsidies that you're also talking about that businesses do get for hiring young unemployed people, young unskilled labor as well. They do get subsidies for it. So now with the minimum wage discussion, it should be a thing of, I am a company trying to give back to the people. Are you able to assist me to at least reach the minimum wage so that whoever's working for me is also able to enjoy the whole benefits of going to Pick and Pay when they feel like it, instead of just having to wait for, let's just say, a tip or what so forth that it is? Because after they have a discussion in a private company and then they tell you that, no, listen, we're doing the same job, but how is it possible that your company is paying you 1 rand while I'm still getting the required 5 rand? So now I'm just saying that the role of the government should be not to just watch things unfold and then just provide guidelines. I'm saying be involved in creating employment. Be involved within the whole decisions of what the people need, what the companies need, and then from there on collaborate. Have that whole discussion with all relevant stakeholders. It shouldn't just be the fact that you can't afford, then I'm gonna watch you fail as a business. No. End of the day, you're still trying to hire young people. What can I do to make sure that you are able to give those people 300 jobs?
Okay. If I can just come in here, I think minimum wage, the first point is what comes first, right? Is it the job opportunities and then how much people should be paid, or how much people should be paid, and then we look at job opportunities after? That would be the first point, right? And then number two, as a very strong skeptic, right, of the leadership makeup currently in South Africa, I look at it and say, Tukatle was an example. I don't think Tukatle, if she wanted to start a business and hire 2 people and pay them 500 rand, that she'd have a problem. She would get away with it, because this is the same sort of government that does not follow up on their own laws. They put laws for everything. You'll find a law for everything. But they don't follow through with it. They just create a bill, move on. Because there is also the element of, I don't know if it's just show-offing to show people that, hey, I'm in charge. And there's also a lot of bargaining that's happening that you see a lot that, okay, if you think about, say, the African National Congress, which is still very strong in terms of the political front in South Africa, their biggest enemy is capital, right? Their biggest problem is capital. They want to exploit capital. They want to take from capital. They want to benefit from capital, right? So then it goes from benefiting workers equally to, we are going to say to capital, pay people this much. Then we're going to say to people, they must pay you this much. Then you already see why there's a conflict between a person and business. And the person who instigates this thing is completely removed. Because if people ask the question, what comes first, job opportunities or employment or minimum wage? Then we'll come to your point to say, but if we say opportunities come first, when at ANC, what are you doing to enable opportunities? Then we can get to the part about how people should be paid, how people should be treated. But you can just see how we are constantly being put up against what they deem as the enemy, right? Because people argue this. If you look at policy, if you look at how they position themselves, it's pretty clear that they are they're the anti-capitalist sort of free market approach. So they put us up against companies. They say, hey, these companies are paying you so much.
Yeah.
They'll never get to a small business owner. It's always the major businesses that have a strong footing in South Africa. Then you see protests. You'll never see a protest towards a spaza shop. It's always protests towards big corporates, which are mainly, say, Sandton, Pretoria, and all of that. So I would just say, as citizens, because now we need to understand that minimum wage can also be used as a political tool to instill the idea to people that, no, you have to demand this.
Yeah.
Forgetting that for me to get that and it's organic, what have you done to enable? Because we're sitting in a situation where GDP growth in Q1 did not even reach 1%. So really, to be honest, business has a right to say, but we can't fulfill all of your demands,
Yes.
even if you say to us, no, for you to operate in South Africa, you have to agree to empowerment. Even if we agree to empowerment, even if we agree to keeping basic rights, human rights, there's only so much a business can afford to do because businesses have exited the country, a lot of them. And whenever a business exits, the ANC does not replace that
Yes.
business. So we have to understand that in an ANC's position, these are not people that are for solutions.
Yes.
We have to force them to think about solutions. Because for every business that is left, they've never replaced a single one of them. There's so many consulting companies, agencies in marketing, in advertising, they were employing people. And it's the smallish sort of medium companies that just slowly move away. How many people that have taken up franchises? I know of a guy who took a franchise over Fono's Bakery. After COVID, Fono's, they do cupcakes and croissants and stuff like that. After COVID, the guy didn't make it. He didn't survive. Nothing. There is no, hey, you know what? Here's R1,000,000 too. He just moved out of the system, dwindled out. The same thing can be said about skills. The ANC does not replace these skills. They don't replace the businesses. So it's up to us to say, okay, cool. You are not the solutions guy, but you also have all of these proposals that you put out there. It's also inciting in a way for me because they are the ones that are failing. We need to hold them to say, what are you doing before you tell us what he should be doing? What are you doing to create employment?
And I get that. I mean, I would lie to you. I'm more of your idealistic, transformative person.
Okay.
All right. I like the fundamentals of what politics is. I mean, if you're telling me that you're in government, it makes you a public servant.
Yes.
Yeah.
You serve the people. I mean, how can you say that you're serving the people while we're sitting here discussing all of these issues? So now when it comes to that, yes, I wouldn't lie to you. My comments maybe it might be a bit idealistic, but they're coming from a place of, as you mentioned, this is what is happening now. I mean, it doesn't stop here. I don't want to just ask the question of what are you doing about it? I would like to also give my 2 cents as why not try doing this about it? See what I'm going about it for. So yes, it might seem a bit like this one is living in dreamland. Trust.
No, we all kind of are.
One thing that I always write, I will always try and instill in my students is listen, learn the fundamentals so you know how to argue what is happening right now. Because what you see on TV is not what the politics is meant to be. Granted that most of it might be Eurocentric definitions of what socialism, democracy is, but it does not mean you can take or you can't take those definitions and make them more relevant to what is happening today.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at, you're comparing our democracies with places that have had it for centuries. They have gone through this corruption back in the day. They did do it. They know what to do. So now, if anything, just looking at it, probably just a policy saying that we need more government intervention in terms of placing people into jobs instead of just giving policy or guidelines as to what people should do within these jobs, then it is one thing that government might need to do. Just take a step up and just listen, here's an agency, please go and register. After registering, you will be contacted. Fill out a form that tells you about what kind of vocational training you'd like to receive during this time when you're doing this. I mean, provide the experts that can come in for science, that can come in for technology, that can come in for politics, that can come in for whatever it is. It shouldn't just be because it is a labor-intensive policy. The only vocational education you'll get is just based on labor-intensive. So now with that expansion of it, again, it's just idealistic. It's just more of, there is a problem that we can see. It's just more about like, yes, as much as it is government's issues and we will bring it up to them, they need to also just take a step up and just be like, okay, this is what we're doing about it, instead of just giving out policies.
On what you said earlier regarding if I cannot afford to pay that 4.5, the minimum wage, the government should subsidize. I find I have a bit of a problem with that, because the government subsidizing is basically me giving more of my money in terms of taxes. If the taxes that I'm paying are going to go to helping Kananelo, in his business, those are taxes that are taken away from that school. Those are taxes that are taken away from making that road, building that bridge, fixing the railway, And I think personally I have a lot of problems with a lot of the subsidies that our government has. Not that they should never help, but I think we are so fixated on, if the government doesn't subsidize, if the government doesn't give me that funding, then I cannot make it. But that is not true. What the government ought to be doing, in my opinion, is ensuring that the infrastructure that I need, the road, the education, I think that's one area where people are missing a great deal. Educate our children in such a way that they don't even need to go to university. Right from matric, the child has what it takes to start that business. The people have the infrastructure in terms of electricity and Wi-Fi so that they can become developers right from their bedrooms. You know what I mean? And once we create that environment, then people can be able to compete. People can
Help
be
themselves.
skilled enough. I don't have to get stuck in that cornfield. I can become whatever I want to be. And because most South Africans will then be skilled, then there'll be fewer people that will be laborers, which means that the salary for the laborers will move from 1,000 to 5,000 automatically, because there aren't enough people needing that job. You understand? And even the cornfield guy, the farmer, has the finances, because instead of him transporting his corn on the road, paying high fees for logistics, he can use the rail, which then reduces the costs of his operation, and then he has enough to pay the people minimum wage or even more. You understand? So the government has a role. However, in my view, it's not the subsidies, it's not the
not the
funding,
subsidy.
but it is the infrastructure, creating that environment for us to thrive.
Dana White,
Go ahead.
Dana White, the UFC president, I watch a lot of UFC. He says, if you are a young person trying to get into business, you want to play very far away from the government. Like, you don't want the government next to you, because they're going to tell you what to do,
Yeah.
what people to hire, and they're also going to make it very difficult for you to fire those people.
Yes.
And they're going to
Hiring
take
as
so much money from your business for you to pay them to live their lavish lifestyles. So really, I mean, to your point, we need less government as far as I'm concerned. Thomas Sowell also makes this point that the government, when it puts out policies, they are usually based on intention.
Yeah.
It's not about the outcome. I
No.
mean, you look at minimum wage. The intention is for the quality of people to improve through these salaries. But what is the outcome? I mean, the government takes a lot of that money.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they-
Through that and
Yes.
the quality of life doesn't improve.
Yes.
And also, in terms of the money, just you being able to use it, you can't do nothing. And also, a lot of people who are supposed to be in the very same industry doing that same job that you're doing, you disincentivize those people. Those people don't have jobs anymore.
Yes.
So that is the outcome of these
Yes.
policies. And in South Africa, we usually have this thing that it is not the policies that are bad.
It's
I think you just mentioned it as well.
Implementation.
It
It's
is the
the
implementation. But
implementation.
my thing is, if it doesn't work, say I'm trying to get this bottle to hold water. That's the intention.
Yes.
But the outcome is that it doesn't hold water.
Yes.
So it means it is not the way I'm
policy,
putting water in
yes.
it. The bottle is wrong.
The policy.
So it's the policy that's the problem. I mean,
That's straightforward.
BEE incentivizes only the elite black people. I mean, us, we are suffering. We have to fend for jobs. You have to beg them for jobs. You have to pretend to join the ANC, maybe to get a job. You have to campaign. Even when maybe I have a girlfriend right now, she needs a job. And her friend is also needing a job. They are somewhere in Kimberley campaigning for the PA. And the promise is that you might get a job if you campaign. I mean, the lady is pregnant for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But she has to go there to pretend to be a member of some
Close,
political
yeah.
party in order to get a job. It's just the government for me really is.
I just wanted
Less
to-
Yeah,
government.
go for
I
it.
just wanted to make a point on the farming. The more that the farmer is enabled, the less he will need the laborers, the more they can earn. There's also the machinery point, right? Because let's think about, especially the blue collar work, they take the cheapest, the one who can get the cheapest pay, that's the one who gets the job. Because the farmer wants to make a profit,
Yes.
right? And I know we've said a lot of times that profit is bad, but that's the intention.
It's
That's
not.
how he gets returns for his investment.
Yeah.
So what we're also seeing in China is that the more that the Chinese people are upskilling, standing on their own 2 feet, they don't want to do standing in the cornfield. But now the Chinese businesses are forced to empower machinery, AI, to say you do the digging and cleaning up of the leaves before I load that into the truck. But we will never get there if we're moving in this direction,
Yes.
because it's correct that it's not working in the cornfield does not sound like a good
it
time.
doesn't.
The sun and all of that. I get why people of that Mkuze community don't want to be part of it, but it's just compared to what then? Just sitting at home and not having anything. That's why we're arguing against it, but it makes sense. But however, if the system is well oiled and it's moving swiftly, we could have machines helping these farmers, and it doesn't have to be actual humans doing that hard labor.
Yeah.
And they can only be able to do it if we give them an opportunity to scale.
Yes.
But now
Yeah.
they can't.
If they scale, yeah.
And everybody is losing. The community members that are staying at home waiting for their 350, the farmer is losing, everybody's losing.
The only person who benefits is the politician who promised that if you
Because
vote
he's
for
in
me,
office, yeah.
chief.
And
He
then-
stays in office unbothered. We're fighting amongst ourselves. It's my job. It's my boss. It's my boss. Maybe also we need to just turn the direction the other way.
What I liked about what you also said, and just to also just add on to what you said about the whole BEE situation. I mean, when it was presented to all of us, look at the smiles. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Yeah. And then, I mean, obviously, then life happened. I mean, you
Yes,
cannot
the
obviously
reality.
determine what it was. But when that paper dropped and you could see what BEE was supposed to do,
Yeah.
everybody was just like, okay,
Yeah.
so everybody's going to
You're
get a
gonna be
chance
rich.
now.
Yeah, let's
We're gonna
go.
be rich. Which comes back to the policy might have not been effectively implemented. But when you saw it on paper, the dream that was sold, what was said would be happening, that was what you stuck to. But then now, what is this, like 20 years later, if I'm not mistaken? 20, 30 years later, no. Why are the rich black people only getting richer while we're still unowning of shares and so forth? So yeah, granted that you could say that maybe the bottle might need a bit of a patching here and there. But I mean, that's what transformation is. That is what adaptation is. You should be able to adapt to these situations. You should be able to respond to people's cries about, but why is it only them getting richer? Why aren't we the ones here that are still middle class, but we're still getting poorer and so forth? So yes, I would say that maybe the bottle might be the problem, but there's nothing wrong with just putting a bandage over here just so that you can stop
One
the
more layer
leaking.
of plastic. Yeah.
Could
But
the
my question to that is then, what about the fact that here's BEE? Let's stick to BEE. What about the fact that, well, this policy intended to empower a lot of black people, but 30 years later we see the consequences of this policy, that a lot of black people didn't get empowered. It was only a few. Now, don't we look at the policy and say the policy itself is the one that made the few black elite to rise at the expense of everybody?
Who's leading the implementation phase of it? Is the person, or is the, how do I put this? Is the instrument behind it actually considering everybody, or is the instrument actually rigged for certain people? Obviously, we'll never know such things.
No,
because-
we can definitely know. Just look
Oh,
around. We can see.
Okay, yes, yeah,
we
we
can
can see.
name
We
the people that are benefiting from BEE.
But then, just for the purpose of the thing about it is, for me, thing is, okay, I was just using BE as an example, right? Just as the policy, if anything, because it is what it started off as. And when I mentioned it, how it started, everybody smiled. But then now, because of the way that it has taken this turn, I mean, you can look at the policy and say there's something wrong with the policy. I mean, sometimes you can also just say that, no, I crashed into the wall because my brakes weren't working. Or I crashed into the wall because I was distracted. So now, if the government is the car itself, right? And then, no, sorry, if BE is the car itself, did the car actually crash into the wall because of the brakes? Or did the car crash into the wall because of the people or person driving the car. And again, on paper, that car was solid. It was supposed to not crash, but unfortunately, it is crashing. So now, what are we going to do about
So what do you think we should do about that driver?
it? We need to add more airbags.
Inquire.
No, we don't
Inquire.
need. No. Change the driver. Change the driver, and maybe even get a better car.
I just want to come in here because the point you're making about, to counter Kanelo's point, let's say, for example, the founder of Apple, the first Apple phone probably had a whole lot of problems, but he still wanted to have an Apple phone. So the idea of getting to an Apple phone did not hinder, even if he was failing at getting to it, he still wanted to have an Apple company that's going to be globally renowned.
Yeah.
So you coming from saying the idea of seeing Black people empowered is still something we should hold on to,
Yeah.
even if maybe as we move along, things are changing and so forth, right? So I think that is pretty fine. But where I think in politics, this thinking can be problematic is, I hear this a lot, I think it was on radio, where someone was arguing for the fact that we cannot change the policy, right? Even if it's failed or implementation has failed, we can't change the policy because we need guardrails, right? They say we need guardrails because without these guardrails and, Black people are going to go back to where we were, things are going to slide off. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we doing this for guardrail's sake or we doing this for actual getting somewhere? Because if you take a business, as a business fails, they adapt. Change, they adapt. Currently with BEE, I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are people that have argued that you can still implement BEE, but then maybe in your criteria, adapt a couple of things. The guardrail people are against those changes. They want to keep it as it is, and then they keep saying, no, it's not the policy, it's the implementation. But if you ask the Apple manufacturer, they'll tell you that, okay, I had to let go of plastic and I'm using steel because plastic didn't work towards my end product. So I think maybe the idea of transformation and the idea of seeing Black people moving forward, we can keep that, but we have to adapt, even if we have to call it not BE and do something else. Even if we have to review the criteria, we have to be open to that. Because where I tend to switch off is when people say, no, we can't move the policy. Because then we lose surety that something is going to change. But we have to change. One person argued that BE must be on need and not on skin color. There was a whole hoo-ha about why that should not be the case. Employment equity. The Democratic Alliance comes in and says, no, we need to put a stop here. We cannot go further and put a quotas on companies. There was a big hoo-ha. Yet we are not adaptive to think that, okay, cool, maybe there is a need for us to do it differently. In 1999, when we introduced employment equity, it was a different time. Our economy was not sitting at 0.5% growth. So I think if we allow ourselves to be adaptive, we can achieve transformation. But if we're not going to be adaptive, then we're just selling ourselves a dream constantly.
I think unlike the iPhone reference, they don't want a successful iPhone. That's what I think. I don't think they wanted to succeed. I don't think they want Black people to be empowered. Because if they wanted Black people to be empowered, they would be starting in schools. They would be ensuring that we have enough schools built. They would be ensuring that the children have enough teachers teaching them. You understand? They would be ensuring that instead of motivating people to have children outside of wedlock before time, they would not, the policies that they are making that look like they're there to empower and uplift and transform are actually some of the things that are keeping Black people down. You cannot tell me that they do not know of all the drama that is happening in Eastern Cape, the same Eastern Cape that loves them so much, the same Eastern Cape that votes for them time and time again. They can't tell us that they don't know that there is no bridge, and the people of Eastern Cape have now resorted to building their own bridge. If you want the Black people to be empowered, how dare you not put a bridge for them to get from one point to another? So I think we need to come out of the deception that we have of thinking that the ANC and its babies, being the MK and the EFF, want us to prosper, because the reality says otherwise. The reality definitely says otherwise. For you to take how much was it? 290 million, give it to Edwin Sodi. He fails. You don't do anything about it. People, how many was it? Over 30 people die from cholera in Hammanskraal. You do nothing about that person. And you tell me that you care about those Black people.
And he still gets another tender.
And he gets another one. Instead of getting jail time, he gets another tender. And you telling me that you care about us? I think we just need to accept that they don't care.
I think I like the reference of change the driver. I'd rather just change the driver
You
at the same
reckon?
time. Yeah.
I mean, also the thing we have with our government, like somebody was mentioning somewhere that say you don't have nothing to eat right now, you go to the shop, you steal bread, you're gonna go to jail. You come back with a criminal record, it's very difficult for you to get a job. I mean, that's a petty crime. But somebody in government is in cahoots with the criminal syndicate.
Yeah.
Instead of them going to jail, we start a commission of inquiry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
how ineffective our government is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And as it relates to the idea of BEE, it's like, to me, when we talk about implementation or changing the driver or something like this, I mean, I can just talk about Elon Musk myself. It's like Elon Musk, when he tries to launch a rocket and then it fails, he can't say, no, it's the implementation that's wrong.
No.
The whole thing's wrong. Chief. You must change that whole thing. You can't say, no, the
Yeah.
implementation.
Yeah.
No, the rocket is not going up.
Yeah.
It must go up. This thing.
Yeah, but he has the incentive to look at that, to evaluate and say, guys, we are doing something wrong, because that's his money, that's his vision. The government has no incentive.
He wants the rocket to
because-
take off. You're right.
Yeah, he wants the rocket to take off.
off.
And if it doesn't, I'm wasting time. My vision is not
you
being
go,
fulfilled.
yeah.
I'm wasting my money. But the government, whose money are they wasting? It's my money, it's your money. So they have no incentive. So we need to stop putting so much trust in the government. And I think a very key thing is to change the mindset among ourselves as Black people. For too long, we have believed that we can't do it. We can't start that business. We can't be the next Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. But we can. We can. But the mindset needs to change, right? We need to be willing to make those sacrifices. People always say capitalism, capital this. But capital is very simple. Capital is just you working, earning 10,000 Rand a month. You take 500 every single month, put it aside. Once it gets to 5,000, you buy something, a laptop or whatever it is that will enable you to learn the software. You get a rain in your house, a Wi-Fi, and you become the next guy that creates an Uber or whatever app. Just like that, you'll be called a capitalist. But we all capitalists, really.
Exactly.
Honestly, we all are. And it's just that some people are not willing to sacrifice the time, put that money aside, do what is necessary. And when somebody else does it, you want to say, no, you privilege this and that and that, when really that's not the case. And we need to be honest with ourselves.
That's true.
And I think also with that, because when we speak like this, we trigger ambition. People start thinking, what can I do? I can maybe have my own Twitter.
Yes.
We have to be frank that in countries like South Africa, where we're just failing so badly, the red tape is also in the fact that there's barriers of entry.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. Kanalelo highlighted the green stuff and how the licensing is there. There's a reason why that stuff there's been such a high barrier to entry.